Trump rails against North Korea and China, says Mueller will be fair, during wide-ranging interview. Satellite images reportedly show China selling oil to North Korea. President Trump railed against nuclear menace North Korea and fumed at the reports China illegally delivered oil to the Hermit Kingdom, exclaiming that wasn't my deal. During a wide-ranging interview Thursday with an outlet he's long derided. During an impromptu talk with a New York Times reporter, Trump said his stance on trade with China has been soft in order to encourage the country to help bring an end to the North Korean nuclear threat. But after a South Korean report Wednesday said U.S. spy satellites caught Chinese ships illegally sending oil to North Korean boats dozens of times since October, Trump told the Times that sort of transaction wasn't acceptable, adding the only thing more important to me than trade is war. Oil is going into North Korea. That wasn't my deal. Trump said. If they're helping me with North Korea, I can look at trade a little bit differently, at least for a period of time. And that's what I've been doing. But when oil is going in, I'm not happy about that. He added, we have a nuclear menace out there, which is no good for China. The comment followed a tweet from Trump earlier Thursday saying, caught red-handed, very disappointed that China is allowing oil to go into North Korea. There will never be a friendly solution to the North Korea problem if this continues to happen. In addition to China and North Korea, Trump spoke to the Times about several other topics that have shadowed his first year in the White House, including special counsel Robert Mueller's Russia probe. Trump said he believed he was going to be treated fairly by Mueller and ultimately be vindicated. I can only tell you that there is absolutely no collusion, Trump said. Everybody knows it. And you know who knows it better than anybody? The Democrats. They walk around blinking at each other. He added he believed the investigation was meritless, calling it a ruse devised by members of the Democratic Party as an excuse for losing an election, and lamented the inquiry made the country look very bad. It makes the country look very bad, and it puts the country in a very bad position, Trump said. So the sooner it's worked out, the better it is for the country. Regarding the investigation and Attorney General Jeff Sessions' recusal, an event that ultimately led to Mueller's appointment, Trump unexpectedly touted his predecessor's Attorney General, Eric Holder, to the Times. In what appeared to be a veiled shot at Sessions, Trump praised Holder for his loyalty to former President Barack Obama, saying Holder totally protected him. And I have great respect for that, I'll be honest, Trump said. Regarding his administration's success during the year, Trump hailed his recently passed tax bill, boasting he knows the details of taxes better than anybody and knows the details of health care better than most. When asked about Alabama Republican Roy Moore's recent failed Senate bid, Trump told the outlet he felt he had to give his endorsement as the head of the party. Trump added he believed he'd win another 4 years in the White House, and that news outlets would eventually back him because otherwise their ratings would go down the tubes.
President Trump putting the heat on China after images reportedly show Chinese ships selling oil to North Korean vessels. That's in violation of the United Nations resolution. The president tweeting, quote, caught red-handed, very disappointed that China is allowing oil to go into North Korea. There will never be a friendly solution to the North Korea problem if this continues to happen. China insists it's doing nothing wrong. Let's go right now to former CIA op Mike Baker. Mike, good to see you.
Good to see you too, Trish.
You know, they just signed on to these sanctions, and within, frankly, weeks of signing that, suddenly we see that they're selling oil to North Korea?
Yeah, I've been spending hours literally working on my holiday I'm shocked face. I still haven't got it right, so I won't display it here on the show. But look, nobody should be surprised. Anybody who's been paying attention or watching this drama with North Korea over the years, I don't mean just during the past several months or during the Trump administration, I mean for decades. Anybody who's been watching this can't honestly say that they're surprised at China's behavior. And the recent news over the past couple of days when people were saying, well, according to the information, they haven't sent any oil or coal to North Korea, I thought, really? So it's what they do. And we
so
have
they violate
to be pragmatic.
sanctions. That's what they do. You know,
they
and by
violate
the way,
sanctions, yeah.
Mike, this is why you and many others weren't sold when the sanctions were first signed on to, because you said, well, you know, that'll be if they abide by them, and typically they don't. And so we've got evidence that, in fact, they don't. So what do we do with this evidence? What do we do now, knowing that they're not going to play ball with us?
Right. Well, they might. I mean, what you don't want to do is just shut it down entirely. You don't want to say, okay, that's it. Because, again, you have to be pragmatic. We should have, and I'm sure that, you know, there were a number of people in the current administration that went into these latest round of sanctions with a realistic point of view. So, fine. Now we've got the evidence. What we should do is we should get our counterparts in the Chinese government, sit them in a conference room with us, lock the door, and not come out until either all the oxygen is expended in that room from talking to them, or until they finally come to grips with the fact that if they continue this, it's not in their best interest. And it really isn't. China is doing what they believe right now is in their best interest. They're playing both sides of the game here, as they have done for years, as Russia has done with North Korea and others. But we have got to, in a sense, keep our boot on the neck of North Korea with these sanctions and do everything possible, including displaying this evidence and having very straightforward conversations with the Chinese authorities to explain that this is unacceptable, and they have to know that we mean it.
Do you,
if that
do you
means
fully
sanctions
trust
on
the
Chinese
evidence?
financial institutions,
let me just
Sure.
throw this in here. I mean, this report came out of South Korea. Might they have a reason to try and inflame the situation? I mean, how do you trust the source of it?
Well, the source looks credible, but you always have to corroborate, right? So right now what's happening is they're looking for additional information from independent sources that will corroborate this, and having conversations with our liaison partners in South Korea. South Korea does not want a conflict on the peninsula, and frankly, it's not in anybody's interest. But I trust this information more than I trust the Chinese, based on their past behavior over years, to abide by sanctions. So,
well, you just look. They're the #1 trading partner with North Korea.
Yeah.
North Korea's economy has grown 3.9%. How does that happen if your #1 trading partner isn't actually trading with you? So, you know, you make a very valid point, and I think trust but verify, as they say.
Trust but verify. And look, in China's perspective, putting ourselves in their minds, if they turn the spigot off entirely and no oil does flow, or no coal goes there, you know, what that means is the regime collapses and millions potentially of North Koreans go streaming into China looking for relief. They don't want that either. No. But what we have to do with the Chinese authorities is, again, make sure they understand we're not backing off. Right. Just because you've been cheating on the sanctions, times have changed. They are almost at the end of the road of developing their weapons program. We can't allow that to happen, so we have to continue this effort with the Chinese.
I agree. Thank you very much, Mike. It's